Hi, everybody. Welcome back, John. That's all I got to say to start the episode. Welcome back. I missed you. I didn't know what to do with myself. Holy cow. I mean, geez, John, welcome back.
It's good to be back, nice and healthy. The plague has now, out of my house, so that's good.
Oh, man, that's great. I mean, like, my partner in crime, like, it was rough. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm telling you.
It was not good on mine. I was literally sick for like a week. Like, it was it wasn't like a virus like flu, barfy kind of thing, but it was just like I had this headache I couldn't shake for like 2 full days, and then I was like coughing like crazy for another few days, and then I had like this insanely stuffed nose for a few days. I was just a complete mess.
Yikes.
So it was just bad.
Yikes. Well, it's good to have you back. And welcome, everybody, to episode number 23 of John and Ted's excellent Gamecast. And what time is it? It's game time. And we are not alone, John. We have a very special guest today that I'm excited to introduce. We have David Mullich. What's up, man?
Hey there. How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty good.
Fantastico.
Yes, it's going awesome. And David, are you feeling okay? Are you good? Do you have the plague like John did?
I don't get sick. And I don't know what the reason is, but I'm immune.
Okay.
Dave, do you have kids?
I do have kids. None of my kids ever get sick.
Oh. How old are they?
They're 17 and 22.
Okay, so they're out of the little kiddo stage. I think John's got some little ones running around catching all the gross stuff.
That's definitely.
Yeah, little germ sponges around. I am offspringless. I don't have any spawn around, so I try to keep everything clean and everything. But David, we do it for every guest because just a quick little overview of who you are, so everyone knows who that third voice is. Who are you? What do you do? And why are you here talking to these two jokers?
Well, I've been in the video game industry since home computers first started appearing in the homes.
A year or two, then. Cool.
Yeah. Back in '79 when the Apple II first appeared, I entered the. In fact, one of my college professors owned the second computer store ever to open up in Los Angeles.
Really?
Wow.
And that's how I got introduced into computers. But since then, I've worked at a number of different game companies. I was the very first game producer at the Walt Disney Company. Worked at Activision, 3DO. Spin Master Toy Company, and nowadays I teach game production at the Los Angeles Film School.
Wow, so you've been around the block and you know a thing or two about video games, huh?
A little bit. I'm still learning. I learn a lot from my students.
Always. That's awesome. Well, hey, we are really happy to have you on here. John, we missed it last episode, but I forgot to say because you weren't here, but in honor of you, last episode was episode 22, so of course, Emmett Smith, right?
Yeah, of course.
Period. We're on episode 23. Notable players for episode 23. We have, I would say, Troy Vincent. That's pretty good. And Devin Hester.
Devin Hester, the kickback return king.
Yes, for sure. Like the human joystick or whatever. So that's that's awesome. David, we have to. My record is, I think, 5 and 19 now. Are you a football fan at all?
I am not.
5 and 20.
I am missing the sports gene.
Oh, okay. Man. See, John, I'm losing terribly. You're kicking my butt.
Well, maybe it'll pick up in the LA area. The Rams are coming home, right? So
that's
maybe
true. Yeah.
Maybe that'll get people back into football.
Hey, maybe so. We've had a few LA guests on here, down here with me, but yeah. Oh man. Well, John and I like football, David, so we always talk a little bit of NFL or college football at sometimes. Do you any sports that you particularly like, or just sportless? Nothing.
I am completely sportless. I used to go skiing.
Okay.
I've done scuba diving.
Oh, there you go.
That's about it for me.
There you go.
Those are very awesome things. Skiing, I have not done. That's a little scary to me. I mean, yeah, I don't want to break anything.
I don't like snow anyway, so.
Yeah, snow. I mean, well, you live in the wrong place to say that, dude.
Yeah, I know. But today was like 77. It was incredible.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Well, it's been crappy and rainy here. I must say, for the last, I don't know, week or so. Isn't that right, David? It's been kind of on and off.
Yeah, it has been. But welcome. I mean, we need the rain desperately.
Yeah, I know, for our water shortage here in California, for sure. I must say, though, what's keeping, on the rainy days, everyone sits inside and, plays video games or watch TV. John, I finally started it over, years. I think you mentioned a couple episodes. I started reading Ready Player One.
Oh, yeah.
I finally started it. David, are you familiar with that book?
I'm
sure.
familiar with it. I haven't read it, but I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's a book.
Yeah, it really, really is. Man, like, I haven't been into reading in a while, as far as I'm just too busy. It's just to sit down and read a book, and even to play games is difficult to do. But I downloaded Ready Player One on audiobook. I started it, and that got me into it, and I'm hooked instantly. So then I went and I bought it on Kindle too. So at night I read it, and then during the day, if I'm like working out or running, I audio. Yeah, so it's perfect. So it's so awesome, and I bought it I think a couple of days ago, not even like 2 days ago, and I'm already on chapter 18. Like, I'm just plowing it, and yeah, it's really good. Now, obviously, I mean, Ernest, he's a huge nerd, and he leans really hard into the 80s references, like really hard.
That's one of the great things about that book. It's awesome.
Yeah, it sometimes it's a little like, okay, roll the eyes. He leans a little hard into it, and it's a hardcore love story. But like, David, I recommend it so far. Like, you're familiar with the 80s, I'm sure, and then when we're 80s,
I lived through it.
Yeah, we're same thing with us. We're a little older gamers, so we're 80s kids. So man, there's some good references in there. Everything from freaking Lady Hawk to war games, movie wise, to every game from Atari, like Joust, and obviously, and it's pretty sick. So I've been hitting pretty
Will
hard.
Wheaton reads the book too, and I love just the way he reads it. You would almost think he wrote the book.
No, exactly. He's been reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his voices, he does the voices good, and Will Wheaton's awesome. He does some pretty cool stuff. He's great, good actor. He's really rooted in the quote nerd culture, but yeah, he does a good job. So man, it's getting really good, and the thing is too, as the book goes through, I'm like predicting what's gonna happen. So that's like, okay, but it's still awesome, and I'm hooked, and it's got me reading again. So Ernest, thank you. Like, I haven't done that in a while. Like, I mean, I couldn't sleep last night, and so I mean, I do that often, and sometimes I'll just get up on the computer or watch something. It was like 3:30, I just couldn't sleep. So what I do is open, my my iPad and got the Kindle app up and started reading. And read till like 4:30 this morning. Yeah, I just read for an hour. It's just nonstop, but definitely cool, and it gets you thinking and remembering all the stuff that you forgot. Like, oh yeah, I remember that game, or oh, I remember that movie, and so I'm writing all these references down in the 80s. Like, oh yeah, I gotta go read that. I gotta go watch that.
Exactly. I did the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, I should listen to that band. I didn't listen too much back then, or And so yeah, I did the same exact thing the first time. I literally probably read that book once a year. Like,
it's awesome. Like, I love the concept, and we talk so much about VR, and David, I know you're plugged into the VR movement now, everything's going on, and the book was written 4 years ago, I guess almost 5 now, but four years ago or so, and dude, he hits the nail on the head with the freaking with the VR and how it's done. Like, remember, last episode we talked about Sony's patent of their new haptic type gloves that track your fingers, and now in Ready Player One has like the haptic gloves. That's how you utilize the Oasis, and yeah, it's just pretty cool. So yeah, it's really awesome. Yeah, if you have a chance, David, like, get an audiobook of it or download it. It's pretty good.
It's on my reading list.
Yeah, it's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, it's been on mine forever, but again, my reading list has been just kind of a list. It's not even, I don't read, but now I'm like, okay, so I have a huge list now. I'm just gonna plow them. It's great, and I what I'd like to do is, because I feel like John, you're an audiobook connoisseur, obviously, for reasons, but I feel like I'm cheating when I do the audiobook stuff. So it's a kind of a good thing to do because I'm a very, very slow reader. That's how it was in grad school. Like I knew if they would give me hey, read these 2 books by Thursday and it was Tuesday, I knew I just wouldn't even do it because I was like, I can't do it. It would take me more time to try to do that and waste it that I could just study something else, right? And take the hit on the test. So it kind of moved me away from, but my reading comprehension is very, very good. So I really remember everything I read. So listening to the audiobook and then supplementing it with reading it at night or something like that, it was something a little more active, is actually kind of a good 1-2 punch I found. And man, it's cool. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I found myself, I downloaded an arcade emulator and I could download a Joust. And I was playing it for like an hour the other day. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Did you imagine you were playing against, I can't remember.
The Lich, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. For sure. I was like, can I take the left side, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's definitely cool. Really, really cool. Any games you're playing these days, David? Anything that you got going on? Any projects that you're kind of working on with in the gaming type stuff?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of projects, but I can't talk about them. I'll get shot by the snipers if I do.
Obviously,
under non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
Most of my time these days is spent teaching. And I am consulting on a couple of things now and then, including doing some expert witness work on some lawsuits. So it's stuff I really can't talk about, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I would say not. Maybe you don't want to get that out here on the podcast, right? Oh man, John, I think we were talking off air. Car trouble. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Probably. Well, a few weeks ago, it was real bad. Where we have a car and we have a truck, and one day the car breaks down on the highway, and of course it's right where my wife's cell phone doesn't work. And within 5 minutes, out of nowhere, a AAA truck pulls up behind her. Is like, "Hey, do you need to get towed?" And she's like, "Actually, yes." And so we got the car towed, got that taken care of. But then a few days later, while the car is being worked on, we get home and we've been having trouble with the shifter in the truck, and all of a sudden the shifter literally just breaks, and so we can't put it in neutral park, nothing. So thankfully we were on a level part in our yard, and so I busted out some cinder blocks, put them behind all the tires, said, "Okay, not going anywhere now." Then we had to have that car get towed and fixed, and and I just I hate cars, but unfortunately it's sort of a necessity unless you live in a big city. So yeah, so it hasn't been fun, but they're both fixed now, so we're back up and running.
Yeah, that's annoying. I think I told you I had my driver's side window go out, and you never notice. You never need to roll down your window until it breaks down. Until you
exactly.
It broke down maybe 6 days ago. Finally got it fixed yesterday. But yeah, during those 5 days it wasn't. I went through 10 parking structures in the bank. I'm like, gosh darn it! Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, wait, what? Even drive-through, so you don't realize it. I won't go for a month need to roll down my window for anything.
Exactly.
And then during 5 days, 10 times. I'm just like, oh, really? So, I popped the panel off and had to fix that, and that's the pain in the butt. But it's just really funny because every time I roll up to it, I'd be, hold on, let me open the door all weird, and they're like, what are you doing?
At least it didn't break down, so you couldn't get it back up.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would have
ripped down or something. That would have done. You should have just drove through the drive-thrus backwards.
That might have worked, yeah, because my passenger side opened up. Yeah, I'd be like, hello.
Me and my punk friends used to do that. We were 16. We'd pull up through the drive-thru backwards. I'd order, and he'd back up, and I'd grab the food from him, and we'd go through the drive-thru backwards.
Is there a law against that?
Probably, but we're stupid. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know you can't drive a motorcycle here in California through a drive-thru. They won't serve you.
What?
Nope, you can't do that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a law over here. I know from state to state they have helmet laws. Some states don't require some do, but I can't say if I know if that's true or not over here.
Yeah,
I don't think it's against the law. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't. So they won't serve you, and you can't walk through. So you can't have a friend
I was gonna say
car noise.
I was gonna say I know you can't walk through, but not being able to use a motorcycle that's kind of.
It's
silly.
you walk in the drive. I'm like, For real, we're in a car, dude.
Just bring a little stereo with you.
Perfect. How about some news? Guys? You got time?
Yeah.
You guys ready for some news action?
I'm ready for news.
Okay.
Always ready for news.
Yeah. A few stories this week, and a couple I added last second that we are going to touch on. This is not quite late breaking news. It's been about a week old, but we still got to talk about it. Being a veteran of the gaming industry, Mr. Mullich, you understand E3 and the size and scope of what that is, yes?
Oh my gosh, yes. I've been to E3 almost every year.
Wow.
It's been out.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember. In fact, when it got started, when it was because of
94,
95, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
in that
95.
range.
Yeah, it all got started because we used to we in the game industry used to exhibit our stuff at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and also in Chicago.
That was January this year, yeah.
Yeah, and they used to relegate us to this big tent out in the parking lot. So we were like the redheaded stepchild of the electronics industry, and we felt like we weren't getting enough attention. And so we, as an industry, we decided to form our own conference.
The ESA kind of came to the rescue, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So E3, the Electronics Entertainment Expo, and it was a huge hit from the start. I think it was the most successful first time trade show in the history of forever.
I believe it's humongous.
Yeah, it was humongous from the start. So we broke away from that, broke away from CES, and a big event every year, almost every year in Los Angeles. There were 3 years where it was held in Atlanta,
Monica, or the one in Malibu or something like that, wasn't it? Like 1 year, or they had it in the hotels for a little bit. They had it off-site. They had it it was weird. I think it was maybe 2004, I want to say, 2005. It was off-site in a bunch of hotels. They tried it 1 year, and that didn't really work.
Yeah, but for past several years, home has been the LA Convention
Of course,
Center.
that's where E3 is at.
And you go to it, and it's like being in your senses are assaulted.
Oh yeah,
because there's giant screens everywhere, and
that doesn't bother me.
Yeah. John's like, what?
but what will get you is the speakers. Are blaring like crazy.
I always bring earplugs and headphones, always, to show. Like to Comic-Con whenever I go, and this year I got my company, my pass for my company to go in, and got earplugs, got headphones, ready to roll on that, because I don't do well with a lot of noise.
Yeah, and then your feet get so, especially if you're working there.
Yeah,
your feet get sore, because even though they lay down carpeting over the concrete, it's very thin carpeting, and it takes a toll on your feet. And then the press of people, so many people.
Yep.
But it looks like this year less people going to be there.
Yeah, I mean,
less in the form of companies.
Yeah, that's the big news that I wanted to bring up. I mean, this is. It's kind of a big deal. I think Bethesda started it, and then even Sony with the PSX in 2014, December, the PlayStation Expo. These companies are being like, you know what? We don't really need to pay $30 million for a booth, which these booths are insane how much they cost. So this is pretty crazy. So it started off, I think, 2 weeks ago, and then now this last week, 2 more dropped out, but big ones. Disney, Wargaming, EA, and Activision. No longer, the big 4 are not going to be having booth space. Now, their presence will be there with some games, but they're not having the big booth space, which is crazy to think of. I mean...
It is, but, it's not unexpected, because E3 is actually becoming less relevant. For the industry.
Yeah, people are doing the trade show, their own press conferences. They're doing their own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the purpose of E3 is basically to show off new product to the press and to the retail buyers.
Yeah, exactly. The retail, that's what it is.
But now, since most of EA's business is in digital downloads, the retailers are becoming less important.
Exactly.
And in terms of press, I mean, with all the blogs and the
And now they have their own
video
press conference.
blogs.
If you have your own press conference, you can condense it to one, hour and a half show. Boom, you're done. You don't have to have any booth space. You don't have to hire people to run it. You don't have to rent the equipment. You don't have to do anything. You just boom. Here's our press conference. We dictate how we want it. Here it is, in your face. Peace. It's.
And then Disney on top. Disney has its own conference.
Yeah.
D23.
Yep. EA's doing their own this year.
Yeah. So. And Blizzard has always had BlizzCon.
Yeah,
so it's
Blizzard's doing their own press conference at E3 this year as well. They announced that. So it's a big shift in the industry. You're right. It is. It's I'm not sure, but the thing is that there is the other end of that spectrum is maybe the medium-sized companies will kind of fill that space. Now, companies who want to get more recognition can kind of fill those because the booth space is going to be there, and the E3 is going to be a little more open. So maybe these companies are like, hey, maybe now we can get in there because when remember 2 years ago Nintendo started dipping out. So Nintendo hasn't been there for 2 years now, 3 years now, 2013, 14, 15, yeah. So Nintendo dipped out, and now these other companies can be like, okay, well, we can never get a good, decent booth space, and now we have all this space open. And even so, like the EA booth and Activision booth, right when you walked in. So those spaces can be divvied up to like 2 or 3 because they're so huge. So it could be a good thing, like letting more companies kind of get in there, but it's just still.
Well, it's a sign of change in the industry.
Totally.
They had a drop out of attendance several years ago. I think it just dropped down to like a few thousand people.
Yeah.
And they made some changes and they got the attendance up again. And I think last year they announced their biggest attendance ever.
It was ridiculous last year.
But the way they did it is they let in a lot of people for free.
Yeah, they did. A lot of just fans were in there.
Yeah,
not just
really.
Again,
so
ringers
for
us getting passes because I have to get passes through my company or whatever. You have to sign up for the passes, or you either get a press badge or you get an industry pass, which I get. And you have to go through everything. But yeah, they just let people in just to kind of see it.
Except my students. They used to allow students in, student net passes. Past 2 years, they haven't allowed it.
Ooh.
Which is my pet peeve about E3.
That is rough.
Well, the reason why I heard is that I think some students at UCLA, they counterfeited some passes. And when that happened, they said, "All right, that's it. No more student passes."
See, messing it up for everybody.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you're right. It is a shift in the industry, and we'll see how it goes from here. But there's so many things going on in the gaming industry, which actually I might as well kind of shift into this one now that we're talking about shifts in the industry. There's 2 stories out of Microsoft. So we'll hit one. The first one here that I put on the deal is Microsoft is canceling Lionhead Studios, and they're just shutting them down. That's a big deal. That's Peter Molyneux's old studio. The one made all the Fable games, and then this new Fable project that's supposed to be coming out. They canceled it. The studio that made Black and White. Yeah, they're closing another couple studios as well. Microsoft and the gaming department is kind of hurting, and they're trying to change directions. It's very interesting from a business standpoint to see that type of move. It's a big thing. I think definitely just kind of announce it. Canceling the game, and by the way, closing your studio.
It's always sad when a studio closes. I mean, it's bad for the people working there, and the kind of the legacy of the studio and the great games they put out. But it happens all the time.
Oh yeah, that's
studios
the gaming
go out
industry,
of business, a new one started. I mean, they're Microsoft is letting go Lionhead, but they bought Mojang.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago. So studios get bought, studios get shut down. It's the circle of life, I'm afraid.
Yes, it is. It's just this is a kind of one of the first parties. It's kind of a big thing. Not that's what the big push is. It's like, hey, this is a big studio. Peter Molyneux, he's been out from direct influence of the studio for a little while, but it's still I can remember when Black and White first came out. And, way back in the day, that was awesome. And then the Fable games were good, but it's just kind of weird. And then so that's the story that's going on. But the biggest thing here out of Microsoft is the new model of hardware releasing that may come via the Xbox 1.7 or 1.2, whatever you want to say. we as consumers are used to hardware coming in iterations that are kind of half steps. iPhone 5S, iPhone 6, iPhone 6S, the different little steps that, iPad Air 2, every, year, every 6 months, right? But console generations, we're like, hey, we buy this console, we're set for 5 to 7 years, right, until the next iteration. Well, Xbox is thinking about and probably going to release a new it is already going to release a new Xbox model, an Xbox Optimum Xbox that is kind of a half step. It's a little bit better with graphics processors, a little bit different, and they're basically, in a sense, kind of almost going to segment their market. And if it catches, if it does right, it's almost as big of a change in the gaming industry as the free to play model, because then it might force Sony's hand to do something, but because we're not used to that in the console space, right? Like we're not, and I don't know how you guys feel about that. Is having, okay, you buy a PS4, oh, here's a PS 4.2 like next year, but it's a little bit better, a little bit faster, a little bit something else, right?
That makes sense. I mean, Apple's been able to pull it off with their, get the iPhone 5C, get the iPhone 5.
That's phones though. Like we've all other hardware does this except for like gaming consoles. And I mean, even going back to even the Nintendo, the NES, and the Super Nintendo, like it was years before you get a new iteration. You're just used to how that is. So I don't know how I feel about that, about this. If it does happen,
I mean, it's probably gonna be it's just ever so slightly better. It's not like, you get the Xbox 1.0 and you got, X for components, and then Xbox 1.2 comes out or whatever. It's not like they're gonna quadruple the RAM and quintuplicize the
But they're
hard.
still going to make it better, I would say. Add some USB ports, add connectivity, clean up some, RAM, like you said, and fix some optical drive issues, or just all these different things you can do. Add new firmware, updating capabilities, just little tweaks that may come into play. Do you think that might be a pain in the butt? Like if I just bought an Xbox One, and oh, by the way, in 2 months the Xbox 1.2 is coming out.
It might. I mean, if they do it right, which could be. I mean, I'd be surprised if Microsoft does it right. But if they do it right, I mean, if you have people that are on the edge and they're almost going to pull the trigger on Xbox One, maybe they're going to drop the extra $100 to get the 1.2. But then there's people that don't have the Xbox One yet, are like, man, I'm not going to pay $300 or $400 for it. When the Xbox 1.0 drops down to $200, and then people are going to jump on that. So if they do it right and they don't do it in too many iterations, it might work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all coming. How I'm not sure if you heard about how they're releasing their games now exclusively on the Windows Store now. Yeah. So Rise of the Tomb Raider just came out a little while ago over Christmas time, and there's a Steam version of it, but now there's an Xbox for the Windows version. The versions are different now, and so you can't play or port the games over if they put their games only on the Xbox Live or Xbox Windows marketplace, because they're different standards for how they search the games. Yeah, and so now so literally, if you buy Tomb Raider on Steam, it's a completely different version than the the Windows version, because the Windows version you can't mod it. It's made for console specific, but you can play it on PC, but only in the Windows app and everything like that. So I mean, they are really trying to change the market, because no one's buying Xbox Ones.
Well, that Microsoft sees that. They see Steam with tens of millions of users, people spending buku money over Christmas time on all these Steam games, and to them that's money they're losing out on. People are playing all those Steam games on Windows powered computers, so or the mostly Windows powered computers,
yeah.
And so Microsoft is trying to figure out, okay, how do we strong arm Steam out of this? And Steam, a few years ago, started putting up a stink about the Microsoft software store, where everything gets downloaded from there, because they said, well, what's going to happen to us? Like, if everything has to be downloaded to the store, then we're going to lose our livelihood. So then that's why Steam's been trying to build their Steam OS based off Linux. And that's why they're trying to build these Steam boxes, which are, basically their own take on sort of a console, because they saw the writing on the wall. And so they were trying to do something proactively before it was too late.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting to see to me how developers are really going to approach this. Like, are you going to want to develop a game specifically for the Windows Store, like that has to go through all this crap? Like, just like it doesn't make sense. But if the new Xbox, the Xbox 1.2, I guess, comes out and it's easy to port, like a PC version and the console version, like nice and easy, that might be okay. But it's still like, okay, so we have to make a version and go through all this crazy console search stuff to get it through, and then we can go through the Steam one. Well, why would we do that? So that'll be interesting to see how what goes forward. I don't know what you think about as far as like Microsoft. I mean, the company, they make money, but they're like, hey, Games Division, stop sucking, figure it out. And so the Games Division's like, oh crap, we gotta do something.
Yeah, it's, these are just crazy times. With when I was making AAA games, it was just the retail stores you had to deal with.
Right.
And now with things like the Windows Store and all that, it's lots of different business models, and people are still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're in a crazy time right now in the transition. So again, we'll see how it goes moving forward. A little bit lighter news stories, a little more fun stuff. So I think we talked about it before, John. Back when Ronda lost her match and she was on the cover of UFC.
Oh yeah.
Well, they had two fighters on the cover, right? They had Ronda and they had Conor McGregor. Well, the EA/Madden curse strikes again. Conor McGregor lost the championship this weekend as well. So they have two former champions now on the front. They were champions when they signed the contract and made them on the cover, and now the new UFC 2 game has two losers.
Yeah. Note to professional, athletes: if EA ever asks you to be on the cover, just say no.
Nope, don't do it.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all know the Madden curse. Are you familiar with the Madden curse, David? When it comes to
No, I'm not.
Well, the Madden curse is on the game, the NFL Madden game, that if you are on the cover, it's happened for 12 years in a row now, 14 years in a row. Every cover athlete has either had a catastrophic injury or a rest to tell them out the following following season. They've missed the season that they've been on the cover. So if you're on Madden 2014, you missed that season. You don't play. Because for someone else, and it's happened every single year, and now the EA curse is permeating into their second UFC game, which both of the cover champions, who they signed them, 6 to 8 months ago to do the cover deal, and within the last 6 to 8 months, they both lost the title. So yeah, it strikes again. So poor Ronda, poor Conor, you guys are on the cover, and you guys are no longer champions. Bummer. Yeah, just say no. Just like the old drug adage in the 90s and Dare, just say no.
Yeah, EA should just have like a holographic cover, so that way they can just switch it on the fly for the people.
Yeah, for real, like a digital cover. Like, oh yeah, we'll put you on there or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
They're probably gonna start paying people a lot more, like, to get on the cover. People are gonna be like, I'm good. Nah, no thanks. No. Okay, so this story is kind of cool, and I put it in here specifically because of you, David, but I'm pumped up. As a kid, Disney afternoon, I used to love me some DuckTales.
DuckTales, yes.
Great stars, lasers, airplanes.
It's a duck. Well, okay, we can't sing too much of it. We're gonna get sued. Okay, so yeah. DuckTales, they announced it a year ago about a remake, and screenshots came out and some artwork came out this week. DuckTales is happening. It's coming towards the end of the summer this year, and you have a connection with DuckTales, yes, David?
I do. I worked on the very first DuckTales game. I was a producer on DuckTales NES, Nintendo.
Sweet. That takes John and I way back.
Yeah, that was when DuckTales had first come out as a television show.
1980.
And I was working at Disney at the time. I was the very first game producer hired by the Walt Disney Company. So I was working on DuckTales, and really at the time it was developed by Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And my job there was to get them the scripts and the music and character model sheets and all that. And they would send the game to us as it was being developed, and make sure the gameplay was good and they represented everything properly. No idea at the time what a huge hit it would be.
Dude, that game was phenomenal. It was so simple but so fun. Oh man, I played that over and over and over and over. Man, because DuckTales was a show I love. I mean, all those shows like Gummy Bears and DuckTales, like I said, and Rescue Rangers, all those games were like, all those TV shows were like childhood. I was getting a little old for them, but I still watch them. But like the DuckTales game that rocked.
Yeah, sure. I was like 30 when it came out,
and
I still enjoyed it. I mean, DuckTales was like Indiana Jones.
Yep.
But with anthropomorphic characters.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It was cool. It was fun. It was clever, lighthearted, colorful, adventure. Really, I mean, as an adult, I enjoyed the show.
When I saw the story the other day, I made sure I went because that's one of the ROMs I don't have for my emulator. So I downloaded DuckTales. I played it for like 20 minutes. I was like, yes, this is great. I remember. And it came right back to me. I was like, oh yeah, I know what's going on for sure. It's such a good game and so much fun. But I think it's really cool that you were responsible for John and I's good memories as kids. So thanks, man.
Well,
yes, thank you.
Partially, I had an even bigger impact on the PC version, DuckTales: The Quest for Gold, which actually I'm looking at my desk here. I have a copy of it right here.
Really? Is that like a click adventure game type deal?
Yeah, it was actually inspired by Cinemaware games.
Oh, cool.
Do you recall Cinemaware, where like
kind of like Dragon Slayer, right?
Yeah, little FMV videos. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it was very high production values in terms of the graphic quality for the time. And so it was a series of sort of mini games involving the DuckTale characters. So you'd go exploring caves in one of them, and then another you're flying Launchpad McQuack's airplane. And another you're going through the jungle, and even using the stock market to increase your funds.
Sweet.
So it was good times back then.
Good times. That is awesome. Well, again, thanks for the experiences as a kid. I think John and I were right in like the perfect window, like old enough to like really get it, but like not like we were super young when the DuckTales came out. So, perfect. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
But I had to shove that in there because I thought it was pretty cool because I'm a fan. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to the new show. I mean, hopefully they stay true to the old adage of what DuckTales is, and then the messaging behind it, and if it's fun and everything. So
they got to keep the theme song though. I know they won't. It seems like whenever they do a reboot of anything, they get rid of like the iconic sounds or music. Really.
Yeah,
that's usually because of the copyright. The musicians don't want to let go of it, or they want to charge some insane royalty fee for them to keep using it or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, bro, that was 30 years ago. No one's listened to it since. Do you want Do you want a little bit of money, or do you want none? Like,
right, exactly.
People get greedy. But no, dude. Speaking of that, so. It's on Netflix now, but Fuller House is out now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. It is absolutely terrible.
I only watched, I think, maybe 2 episodes. The first episode, it's like, it seemed like they had to throw every
reference,
every little thing that Full House was known for into one episode. I was like, okay, I'll let that episode slide. And then I watched the second one. I was just like, yeah, it's not the same.
No. Like I couldn't believe they got everyone to come back. Like Stamos, everyone's there, and then Saget comes back for a couple like cameos every episode, a little bit here, but like they got everyone to come back. It just goes to show what they're all doing now.
Right, exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, it's not good, but again, the remake type stuff. But again, I'm hoping that it's good. Yeah, they recently remade X-Files. Like they're always doing remake stuff. So hopefully, I think that's the theme with the video game industry right now. Remakes galore. Good lord.
In fact, they remade DuckTales like 2 years ago.
They did.
The game.
No way.
Yeah. It was done by WayForward Technologies.
Really? What system?
What platform? Developer. Oh goodness! I think they did it for a variety of platforms.
Oh wow! Probably on iOS in some capacity.
Yeah. But it was about 2 years ago that it came out.
Huh?
DuckTales Remastered is what they call it.
Do you recall how it was at all, or if it was good or anything?
I didn't play it. I think the general I saw it demonstrated at E3 at the time, but I recall the reviews of it being that they made a good effort. They really got into the spirit of it, but it for whatever reason couldn't recapture that lightning in the bottle.
For sure.
Which is always a problem with remakes.
Yeah, it really is. For sure. Well, listen, I'm hoping the show is good. It's supposed to come out. I'll probably watch a little bit of it just to kind of scratch that nostalgia itch. Just kind of, hey, it's cool. But yeah, if the theme song is not there, I turn on the episode. It's not on. I'm turning it off instantly, John. Off.
I hear it.
False. Nope. Nope. So, all right. I think that's gonna do it for news. Do you guys have anything else that you guys heard over the last week or so?
Not on my end.
You guys good?
No, not for me either.
Well, cool. We are going to take a little break, and when we come back, we are going to get down and dirty, David. We're going to hit you with the hard questions and, dig deep. And, our resident journalist is going to, hit you with some questions, and we're going to figure out what to do and find out more about you. So, yeah, you excited?
Well, now I'm kind of nervous.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hello, we're back, John. I'm just gonna say again, I'm happy you're back, buddy. Oh, nice, yeah. Or gummy bears bouncing here and there. Yep. Or the Rescue Rangers. Dun 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 dun. Yep, that's Disney Afternoon, man. That got me good. Oh, you know what my favorite one was though? Oh yeah, tailspin. Oh yeah, tailspin.
Yeah. You know what show I love that I showed my kids on YouTube maybe a month or two ago. You may or may not remember them. The Wuzzles.
What? When were they big? Like
mid to late 80s.
Yeah, I would say like 87, 88.
86, 87.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, dude, what about Fraggle Rock? Dun 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 dun. Yeah.
I get my kids singing that song all the time. Dance your cares away.
Another day. Yep. Or I used to watch that show. I used to watch the Muppets, all those good stuff. Man.
I haven't seen the newer Muppets. I've heard everyone say it. It's terrible. Like, don't even watch the new Muppets.
Is there new Muppets?
Yeah, they just kind of rebooted like the Muppet Show, but it's all.
Oh, I used to watch that like all the time.
Yeah, I guess they rebooted that, and everyone's like, "Don't watch it. It's awful."
In fact, I think it's not being renewed for next year.
Okay. Oh, so wait. This is like you're not talking about like in the near past. This is like happening.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think there's tons of billboards around LA about that stuff. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, I've heard it's terrible.
Well,
so.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine. Yes, so we are here with David Mullich. What's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm all this nostalgia here, talking about DuckTales and
dude, like I said,
History 3.
Yeah, we're old school gamers at heart. We've kind of come up. I think we're like the first generation to have games in our hands that weren't given to us. We didn't have to buy them. So now we were here and we love games. So we are really happy to have you here. Pioneering the industry. I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna dub that on you. So game designer, consultant, educator, and video game industry veteran. So we're going to hit you with a little interview segment here, and John is going to ask you some questions, and we're going to find out some more about what you do, and hopefully listeners enjoy. So
okay, hit away.
Yeah, John, take it away, my man.
So David, I appreciate your time and coming on with us, and hopefully we're not wasting your time.
Oh no, this is fun. This is like a trip down memory lane.
Yeah. Man.
So one thing that you mentioned that I love the 80s stuff. I grew up on my Commodore 64 as the first computer I had. So I heard you mention the Apple II in '79. So bring us way back to those dark ages.
Please.
And what were the things that you worked on? Like, what was it like when you turned on that Apple II and started seeing some games flow across the screen?
Yeah, some of these kids listening, I mean, they don't even know what Windows 95 is. So take us
You
way
know,
back.
I started as a gamer way back even before then. We had the Magnavox Odyssey.
Yeah.
Odyssey.
1977, 78, yeah.
Oh,
72
I think
first came out.
Yeah, 72. Yeah,
first came
72. Yeah, back when, no color graphics. You had to put plastic overlays
over this
on your
TV
television screen
Yep.
in order to get color. Because they couldn't, they didn't want to pay the money for the color chips in the system. So it was all just black and white. But yeah, I grew up playing board games mostly.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I mean, we had a whole closet full of Risk and Game of Life and Mousetrap and Stratego and you name it.
Oh, that's my jam. Axis and Allies, all that stuff.
So yeah, when you talk about being a gamer, I immediately start thinking about board games and dice. I have some dice on my table, some 6-sided dice, also 4-sided, done all that. So yeah, and Dungeons and Dragons.
Nice.
I got like the very first edition of Dungeons and Dragons when it came out. So yeah, I mean, basically, we were talking about before about sports, and I'm missing the sports gene. Because I'm a total geek. I mean,
there you go.
Star Trek from the very first episode.
High five.
I remember seeing the first premiere episode of Star Trek,
and
Lord of the Rings, read when I was 12, and all that, and so when I went into college, no intention of getting involved in games because there really weren't any at the time.
Right.
So I was trying to figure out whether to be a writer, an artist, or a filmmaker.
So all in the creative field, it seems like.
All in the creative field.
Guy.
So I couldn't decide that, but the one thing I knew for sure that I was going to go to Cal State Northridge.
Okay. Cool.
Because it was within bicycling distance of my house. So and couldn't afford anything more expensive than that. Back then it was like $400 a semester to go to.
Now you need to spend more than that on your books.
Yeah, really.
One book.
So, anyway, so I couldn't, but I went to pre-register for radio, television, film, and I saw a line all the way around the building. I thought, no way all these people are going to get a job in the film industry. So, going to go after something more practical. So I started taking a bunch of classes, and then one day I took computer science class. And as I was sitting in the computer lab waiting to use the printer, because it was one printer shared among all students, I started typing out a Star Trek game. And as I was doing it, it suddenly occurred to me that what I was creating was kind of an interactive story, where you as the player were the protagonist in the story, and you could affect the outcome, and it was interactive entertainment.
What year was this about, if you don't mind?
This would have been 1978.
Oh.
78. And I got so excited about the idea of interactive entertainment that as soon as I left, I went and changed my major from undecided to computer science.
No kidding.
So I started studying computers, and I took classes in simulations and anything that was kind of remotely entertainment oriented with regard to computers, although there wasn't much at the time. There was hardly anything at all.
Right.
And I wound up taking going to my practical side, took a COBOL class. Now,
nice.
COBOL is business language.
Yeah.
Common business oriented language. All the banks used it, the government used it. But when I took it, I started using it to print out like pictures of the Starship Enterprise and to do poetry. And my professor caught me, and he called me over. And I thought, I'm going to be in trouble. He offered me a job. He and a couple of other professors had a computer store, where the second computer store ever to open in Los Angeles, Rainbow Computing. And they were selling computers, and they wanted to hire me as a clerk.
Wow,
man!
So great job for college student, and it was right across the street from the campus.
Dude,
nice.
Can't get any better than that, man.
Yeah, so they were an Apple II dealer. An Apple II, I mean, it was so different.
That's
all
my
the
jam.
other, the other computers I was dealing with, they were the size of like room size or refrigerator size.
Right, exactly.
And here was something that was like the size of a typewriter, and you could plug it into your television, and you could play games on it.
Man.
And in fact, that's what a lot of my job was. Back then, there really weren't any real game publishers, and so what people do, people buy computers but not know what to do with them.
Right.
So a lot of computer magazines like Creative Computing, and often they would have printouts in BASIC. BASIC. That was the language in the computers. Beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code.
Yep.
For games or other software, you could type into your computer, to actually have it do something. And a lot of our customers would go and they type in, games or other things that they got in the magazines, save it on cassette tape. So that was even before there were floppy disks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You buy your own, when you buy your computer, you'd also buy a cassette recorder, audio cassette recorder. And if you wanted to save something, you type save in the computer, then press record on your recorder, and the computer would do all sorts of beeps and boops to translate the ones and zeros, and that's what it'd save on an audio tape. And if you want to load it back in, type in load on your computer and press play on the cassette recorder, and that's how it loaded back in. Well, our customers would go, and they would kind of type in these games and maybe create some of their own games, save them on cassette tape, record them one at a time, and then Xerox documentation, put in Ziploc baggies, and we'd sell it in our store.
Nice, that's cool.
And we got enough of this product that we started, we had a mail order catalog. And so that was my main job there at the store was making copies of all the software, and we'd sell it on our mail order catalog.
That's cool.
Well, a couple of the people who started some of the very first game publishers bought their computers at our store. There was Programmer International, which made some very early games for the Apple II.
MECC, they were big.
Yeah, and another company called Eduware.
Yeah, that's
or educational software.
Yeah, that's
and the owner of Eduware, Sherwin Steffen, he asked me if I'd be interested in creating some games for him. Sure. So they already had a text-based role-playing game called Space.
Okay.
And it was actually heavily influenced by Traveller, the tabletop role-playing game. And so they wanted me to write an expansion for it. So I did. It took me 1 week, and I was based heavily on an anthropology class I took, because I did a module on you being a shaman, space shaman, trying to convert people over. And I used, rituals and stuff that I learned about in archaeology. And another game called Psychedelia module, Psychedelia, which was using psychedelic drugs that had both positive and negative aspects to it. You could improve maybe your character's wisdom or insight, but at a potential loss of physical attributes. And so I did that in about a week, and they sold it, and I made like $100. And I thought, this is great. And they asked me to make another game, and so I did a economic simulation called Windfall, based upon the oil crisis that was going on at the time. And that one I did in 2 weeks, so much higher production values.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, double the big sets.
And then another game that I did for them, they had the West Coast Computer Fair was coming up that weekend in San Francisco, and they needed a new game to show off. So they called me up on a Monday and said they needed a new game to show off that weekend. So on Thursday, I had a new game called Network, which was based on a mass communications class I took, for programming a television network. And so that made all three while a college student. And then when I graduated that year, they hired me full time on as a game designer programmer.
That's awesome.
And so the first game I made for them was based upon a television show that I was absolutely I was captivated by while I was in college. It was in reruns, called The Prisoner, starring Patrick McGoohan, British television show about someone we assume to be a spy who is kidnapped and taken to this resort village that's actually kind of a prison, and they try to find out why he resigned. And it was a very metaphorical television show, all about kind of very Orwellian. All about authority and the abuses of power and maintaining your individuality and all that. And being a college student, I really love those themes. So I made a unlicensed homage to it that we called The Prisoner, because back then we didn't know anything about copyright or licensing and all that.
I was going to say, that's what we call spin, right?
Yeah. But, the rest of the world didn't know what was going on with video games. Because it was like, it's such a small market. And so actually I spent 6 weeks working on it. It was just like pure stream of consciousness, designing as I was, programming as I went along. And it turned out to be a huge cult hit at the time. And so went on to meet some other games. Actually, Travelers sued us. Game Designers Workshop.
Really?
They actually did catch us and said that we infringed their copyright when we did Space, because we didn't change any of the gameplay at all. So we settled out of court, and so what they had me do was completely come up with a brand new space adventure series using color graphics instead of text. So I created my own trilogy of games, based upon my own game mechanics. We grew Edgeware. Edgeware started from just 3 guys operating out of an apartment, and eventually we grew up to we were 60 people at our height.
Okay.
And I eventually became vice president of the company, and things we were going along well for like 4 or 5 years until we were bought out by another company, Peachtree Software, that made accounting software for MIDI computers. And they wanted to break into the home market. So they figured the best way to do that was buy a company that's already in the home market. And even though we made a lot of games, we were mostly known for our educational software. So they thought that was a good way to break in. So they bought our company and ran it into the ground, because they didn't understand the home market. They went and took all of our software, educational software and games, and put in the exact same packaging as their accounting software. So we were within a year out of business. So me and a couple of other Edgeware people decided to start our own company. We had been working with an outside developer by the name of Wes Huntress, who in his real job, he was a senior scientist with JPL, and he had a partner, Charlie Colhays, who in his real job, mission designer of the Voyager space probe. But they were really into games, and they were developing a real-time 3D first-person wilderness survival simulation, which was one of the very first-person 3D games of all time. And we convinced them to go with us when we formed a new company called Electric Transit, and we became their publisher. And I was a producer on the project, and also did some of the graphics and some of the programming on it. And we also took over another 3D simulation. We're doing a lunar explorer simulation. So we were a small company of, again, about 4 people. One problem we had, we didn't have distribution. Because back then, no electronics boutique. It was basically, just mom and pop stores all throughout the country. How do we get our product into them? Well, we needed a distributor. Fortunately, there was another small company, a little bit bigger than us, that had started 2 years before us that already had excellent distribution. So we approached them. And you may have heard of them. They were called Electronic Arts. And
no, I'm not familiar. Would you?
Yeah. Well, you have to stretch your mind out. Electronic EA.
Oh. Okay.
Trip Hawkins, founder of the company, and we went to them, and we went to them and asked for their distribution expertise, and we became their very first affiliated label publisher.
Wow.
Man.
We sold our games to them. Unfortunately, being their very first, they made all their mistakes on us.
You were the guinea pig.
Yeah, we were the guinea pigs, and our games got great reviews. But they overestimated the sales. We had just shipped them like 10,000 units of Wilderness, and we were gearing up. We just made another 10,000 units, and we called them up to say we were shipping it over to them. And they said, wait, hold the presses. We overestimated our sales figures. Not only are we not going to buy those 10,000 units from you, you're going to buy back 5,000 you previously shipped up with that.
Oh, man.
And, we were the little guy, they were the big guy, and really couldn't do much about it. We got into a financial hole that we just couldn't get out of, and we wound up going out of business the next year. So here I am, and I had worked for, I made some good money at Edgeware, especially when we sold it, but we all kind of worked for free. Starting up our electric transit, worked for 2 years for free. So all the big money I got kind of dwindled away.
Yeah.
So trying to figure out what to do next. Got a phone call from a programmer that had worked for me at Edgeware saying he'd seen an ad in the newspaper that I might be interested in. Walt Disney Company was looking for a software development consultant to help them work on games. And so, I immediately applied, and they brought me in for an interview, and they asked me if I could name all 7 dwarves, and being a Disney geek, that was really easy I could name it. And they hired me to be their software development consultant, and working on or with all the outside people that game companies that were licensing Disney stuff, like DuckTales.
Yeah.
And Who Framed Roger Rabbit with LGN toys.
For sure. That's cool. Yeah, I think we talked about the DuckTales a little earlier, so because those are games that form my childhood. And John, you always ask the question about the game that kind of pushed everything. So what were you going to ask David in along the lines of our typical interview question?
Yeah. So David, as you're in the thick of all this, what was there must have been that one game where you started to either you were playing it, or maybe you were actually involved with the production of it, where you're just like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. Like, I don't want to be doing anything, outside of the video game industry now. Was there a definite moment at this point?
The thing was, when I was working on video games, when I played the first video games, they were so simplistic. I mean, Pong and Asteroids and all that. I didn't have an interest at the time. I was more interested in telling stories.
Sure.
And the games at that time didn't do that. When I was given a chance to create the type of games
when you went to college at one time
that I wanted to make, so making a role-playing game on a computer, making a simulation, I fell in love with that, and I knew then I couldn't do anything else. So I kind of, it sounds egotistic, I fell in love with my own work.
That's okay, man. Dude, my friends and I, we used to write text-based adventures in BASIC and all the time, like in growing up. That's what we did for fun.
Well, I'll tell you the one outside game that influenced me was Dungeons and Dragons.
Of course.
And in fact, my
because you could create that.
All my college friends.
A story. Yeah.
Yeah, my college friends ran Dungeons and Dragons sessions. In fact, one of them created their own version, their own role-playing game, and we played that every weekend. So that was the game that really got me interested in gaming in a big way. But in terms of video games, no, it was my own work that inspired me.
Well, I mean, just it's good that you had good quality work to kind of get you juices flowing. For sure, that rocks. And then I guess you can pick up. I guess after you went Disney, where'd you go from there?
After Disney, it got tough at Disney because we were victims of our own success. In that, once we got successful, every manager on earth wanted to get approval, be involved in the green light process for new projects, and I couldn't get any new projects approved after I'd been there for 4 years. So I left and I joined a small game publisher called Cyber Dreams, and this was a company that it was a kind of a niche boutique publisher that its hook was that it developed games in collaboration with famous names from science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And my first project there I worked with Harlan Ellison on adapting his short story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, to a video game. And I worked with artist H.R. Giger, who probably best know for designing the look of the film Alien. He designed the alien feature and all the organic biomechanical look of that entire film. Also did a great Emerson, Lake and Palmer album cover. And so I worked with him on developing a game called Dark Sea 2. Those were, and then worked with Wes Craven, our director, on a game called Principles of Fear. And the Harlan Ellison game, big success, won just about every award there was out there. Dark Sea 2, I loved it. Not as much of a big success. I think I took too seriously the idea of you going into the character you're playing becoming mad, and the voice actor I chose for that game, I think people found him annoying rather than interesting. So the game didn't do too well. The Wes Craven game I was working on, it was going great. And in fact, we showed it off at an E3, and it won like bronze award for interactive fiction for what we're showing off. But then we went to show it to his agent, who really didn't understand games. And I don't know, her expectations were very different from what was achievable at the time. So she immediately canceled the project.
She was probably like, where's Freddy Krueger?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, right.
So, even though it won awards for its prototype, no, we never got to complete it.
That stinks.
So that was unfortunate. Eventually, we worked on a number of games. Noir was a game we developed with a filmmaker named Jeff Blythe, who did a lot of Disney Circle Vision movies, and he wanted to create an interactive movie that was based upon 1940s film noir movies, and that was a lot of fun because I got to work with a film crew in developing that, and it was a combination of photographs and film. So that was really fun to work on. Unfortunately, the owner of the company he owned a whole bunch of other businesses. He was making more on his other businesses than this, so we decided to shut it down.
So David, real quick. So again, for the sake of time, I want to get into your teaching aspect. So after this, you went to the 3DO company, which everyone knows 3DO, big, and then you worked on Heroes of Might and Magic.
Heroes of Might and Magic series, yeah.
Awesome series, great series. Played the heck out of those. So again, thank you for the childhood nostalgia.
Sure,
exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, but I want to focus on what you're doing now, your consulting and your teaching. So let's kind of you did the whole, inside the AAA stuff. You did indie studios. You got into teaching. Why are you teaching? Where are you teaching? What are you teaching? How are you teaching?
Right, sure. So I got into teaching kind of almost by accident. It was like two influences. I was working with Mike Zaida, who runs the USC Game Pipe Lab, which is in the USC game program, top-rated game program in the country.
Did a game jam there 2 months ago. So
yeah. So what he wanted to do, all his students were making great games, and so he wanted to start up a studio to publish them, and he had tapped me to be his development director. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the funding we wanted, so we never got that going. But he invited me to be a industry mentor for a couple of the student teams. So I got to work with the students, and just amazed at AAA quality work coming out of a group of students. We've had a year long to work on the projects. So that really got me impressed. He also was approached by the Boy Scouts of America, who were developing a game design merit badge, and they were looking for an educator to be involved in developing it. But he was too busy. But he said, David Mullich, his kids are in Boy Scouts. Why don't you contact him? So I got involved with the Boy Scouts on developing this merit badge. Meanwhile, I was working I then went to work at the Spin Master Toy Company, and I was hired to replace their existing current executive producer, who had gone to work at the LA Film School to start up a game production unit there, a program there to earn a degree in game production and design. And a mutual friend introduced us to each other, and we took a liking to each other. He asked me to be on their advisory committee. Well, after a couple of years, it turns out that it was I found as I got older, it was tougher for me to get jobs.
That always happens. So so
Once
teaching is a good entryway, especially with the wealth of knowledge you have. So can you tell us kind of your day-to-day teaching? What are you teaching now, and what are you doing?
Yeah, well, we've just started a bachelor's program at the. They hired me on full time as an instructor at the LA Film School. So I've been teaching there for a couple of years, and just recently actually promoted to the head of the game production faculty.
Oh, congratulations!
So we have a number of instructors, all of whom have worked in the game industry, and I teach a couple of classes there. I teach our introductory class, Survey the Video Game Industry, where new students come in, and I teach them a little bit about everything having to do with the game industry, how it works, who the major players are, how a game is developed, what the different jobs are in it. I also teach our introductory game design course. We also have essentially a 3-month course where students develop their own games based upon their own game concepts that they pitch to the faculty. And so I also kind of am their mentor in that course. And then we have other instructors that teach game programming, game audio, level design, game art, and all that, where we kind of teach a little bit of everything. If you want to be an indie developer, ours is a good class to take, or course to take, because we'll teach you a little bit of everything. We'll have you making your own game at the end. And the games you make, students own. School does not own any of the students' work.
That's cool.
So you could create a finished game, and if you want, sell it,
That's great.
Through the App Store or through Congregate, and some of our students have done that. So we teach you all the basic skills you need to know. We also if you don't know what you want to do in the game industry, it helps to know a little bit about everything to kind of help you figure out what you want to be doing. And as I say, game development is a team sport, so it helps to know what all the other disciplines do. So so you
do have the sports gene.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so in that respect. So yeah, and a lot of our students have gone on to one of our students is now a technical manager at Riot Games, another associate producer at Disney. Cool. One of our students just got hired as a programmer at a virtual reality studio in not too far away from where I live in Valencia. So a lot of our students go on to join Activision. Usually it's testers, because that's kind of an entry-level position in the game industry, but producers, programmers, and such. So
very cool.
I'm trying to kind of take my good fortune, use it, and kind of give back and get other people involved in the game industry.
That's super cool. John, again, we talked to a lot of indie devs on the show, and it's kind of interesting to hear kind of they're in the younger demographic a lot, maybe even our age, but it's also good to show someone who has really kind of been in the initial push of what indie game developer is. Like you were in the push of you started what indie development is.
Yeah, so. really, when people talk about indie development now, I think back, that's exactly how it was in the 80s. Because there were no AAA games. It was all, small, one person or maybe a couple people, limited hardware, going out and, trying to market it yourself. It was any experience back then too. So I try to pass along my wisdom, but young kids, they still have to learn stuff the hard way themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as students coming in, what kind of games do students want to make, or do you find their mentality is when they create games? 'Cause it's so different even when John and I grew up played, because we're a generation removed from your students now. When they come in, what are their preconceptions of games? Because they grew up with the free-to-play model and clickers and all this mess that we didn't touch.
I'll tell you, they come in with a perception of game players. They have absolutely no idea how a game is made or what's involved.
Or they can maybe code a little bit, so they think they know it all.
Very few actually. Maybe a couple. Yeah, we do have a couple of know-it-alls, but most of them are kind of just they think making games is playing games all day.
Yeah, they don't understand it's actual hard work that's done.
It's a
No
real
kid,
job
yeah.
grown-ups is what it is. So that's probably the big hurdle to overcome with a lot of them. And then when it comes to making their own games, it's a question of getting the scope right, because
Sure.
they're not making AAA. They're not making games.
All
budgets
indie
of
studios want to
$1
make
million.
freaking RPGs or MMOs right off the bat. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
slowly
so,
roll.
yeah. They're all talking about dungeon crawlers and multiplayer games, and you got a team of 6 people. Let's keep you focused on what you can do in 3 months with 6 people.
Right.
So it's a lot of kind of doing the reality check, limiting their scope, and getting them to really focus on getting that basic game mechanic working. Because
The hook,
what
man.
I find with a lot of newbies, they're really too focused on creating content. Make a lot of levels, make a lot of art, because it feels like they're doing work when they're doing it.
Right.
And no, that's not the way to go about it. It's refining the very basic game mechanic and really to figuring out what is the game experience you're trying to create for the player, and what's the best way to do it. Not just dive in and start creating stuff that you're going to wind up throwing away anyway, and using up all your time creating stuff that you don't think to make. So it's just kind of getting to think a little bit more like, almost like scientists.
Yeah.
That they have to do research and figuring out, how am I going about creating the experience I want to create? What's the best mechanic?
Mm-hmm.
How can I think like a player? How do I create that experience in their mind that I want to create through artwork and through mechanics and through audio
and gameplay and everything.
Getting that all to work. Yeah, getting that all to work together in a way that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So it's kind of dialing back their ambitions and really getting them to think about what they're doing is probably the number one adjustment we have to make to their way of thinking.
Right on. Well, that's awesome. So I guess what I would wonder is what kind of inspires you really to keep going and to get back and to do what you're doing these days? Because it's pretty cool that someone with your pedigree and what you've done is doing that and giving the next generation of game developers something like a good quality education.
I just think about all the games I made before, Heroes and DuckTales and I Have Nothing to Scream and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines at Activision, I feel I've been so lucky. So I just want to give back to other people and kind of, share my experience. Also heavily involved with the Boy Scout. I helped develop their game design merit badge, and now I run Boy Scout workshops.
Oh, nice.
Several times a year, teaching really young kids. I mean, we're talking like 11 and 12-year-olds about game design.
Oh, cool.
I know. I just enjoy it. I feed off of their enthusiasm, and maybe get some perverse joy in shocking them with the realism of what's really involved in making games.
It's work.
It's hard work.
Yeah. Well, that's great. No, we appreciate it. I guess this is the time where you can kind of plug yourself, what you do, what projects you have going on that you want listeners to listen to. You have a blog that's pretty awesome. That's how I found you, and I've been keeping up with for a few weeks. That's really great. So I guess kind of pimp yourself out right now, David. Go ahead, social media and everything you got.
Yeah, I blog. I have WordPress, davidmullich.wordpress.com. Also on LinkedIn. I have a blog on LinkedIn. Anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, happy to do it. And Twitter, David_Mullich is my Twitter. I tweet maybe about 10 game-related articles a day, mostly focused on indie game development and game design. As well as, I do a blog a week, so I recirculate a lot of my blog. So I'm out there educating everyone, whether they're students in my school or Boy Scouts or not. I'm focused on educating people about game development. I am also available as a consultant, which is one of the nice things about teaching. So I've done game design work. I worked with one company developing a live action escape room game.
Oh, yes.
So I did some design work on that. I do some expert witness on game-related legal matters, do do the occasional game design or production consulting work. So if you're in need of a game design veteran and you want an expert opinion on stuff, I'm your guy.
Right on. Well, again, thank you, David. Really appreciate it. But at the end of every interview, we have a little segment we like to call the boss battle. Are you familiar with the boss battle, my friend?
I am familiar with boss battles in general, but your own boss battle, you're going to have to get me up to speed on.
Oh, well, I'm glad to do that. So the boss of the week you are going to be taking on and challenging is Psycho Mantis from Metal Gear Solid. Oh, the deranged, telekinetic, sociopathic, sadistic, scary, gas mask wearing, murderous, mind-bending elite member of Foxhound set on destroying your brain neuron by neuron? Yeah, that guy. So I'm going to I'm going to explain to you how it works. So our questions or levels are sent in by the listeners or they're created by us. And if you're listening and you want to send us a boss battle question, feel free to do so. You can do it on social media using the hashtag boss battle, or you can email it to us directly using the email address jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com and putting boss battle in the subject line. So how it works, David, is there are 5 total levels. 4 normal levels are a gauntlet heading your way to a final encounter with the boss. The first 4 levels, you have 60 seconds, and they are going on for increasing difficulty. And you have 2 things you can do. You can either warp to the next level if you don't know an answer, and time permitting, you can return. So let's say you're on level 2, you're not sure of the answer. You can say, hey, warp, you go to level 3, and if there's time left, you go ahead and go back and see if you can answer the question. Capiche?
I understand.
Okay, and then you also, with the first 4 levels, you get a power-up. And this is a power-up that makes any question 50-50. John is your companion, and if you played any Bethesda game or any RPG, he's your companion. He will notify you, when you can warp or when to use your power up. He wasn't here last episode, so our boss battle contestant failed to use their power up. See, so he is very helpful. After you finish the first 4 levels, we review them. If you get 4 out of 4, you get a power up for the boss encounter. Ooh, so it behooves you to do well in the first 4. And then after that, you get to fight the boss. And if you get 5 out of 5, you get to be in our Hall of Champions, and you win. Any questions?
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, what are the questions about?
Oh, video games and stuff. Usually,
okay.
So you'll enjoy it. Are you ready? We're just going to get into it.
As ready as I'll ever be.
Psycho Mantis is trying to manipulate your mind right now. We are going to start right now. Your boss battle starts when I finish reading the first question. Here we go. Level 1. Fus Ro Da is an attack in which game?
No idea.
Would you like to warp?
Warp.
Alrighty. Level 2. What year was BioShock released? A. 2006, B. 2007, C. 2008, or D. 2009?
2006.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Level 3. Which of these does not belong? Wendy, Larry, Roy, Sherry, or Morton?
Hmm.
30 seconds.
Larry.
Final answer?
Yes.
Alright, level 4. Which was the best-selling Gran Turismo title?
You have your power-up. You could either use it on this one or the other question that you worked
I'll use a power-up.
It is either... There were 6 Gran Turismo games that have come out, and it's either 3, 4, or 6.
I'm going to say 4.
And would you like to go back to level 2? Or level 1, excuse me. The question was, Fus Ro Da is an attack in what game?
Oh. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Alrighty, and time. Okay, let's see how we did here, David. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling terrible.
Okay.
Well, why couldn't you ask me about games that I'm very familiar with?
See, that's the fun thing. Normally, we always ask old school questions, and you didn't get a few. You had one that was kind of old school, but all right. John, how do you think you did?
I think you did okay.
Okay, well let's go through it. Level 1. The question was, Fus Ro Da is an attack in what game? Your answer was, I have no idea. And that game is incorrect. The answer is actually...
that was my favorite game in the 80s.
That was a good one.
I had no idea it was my favorite game.
That was definitely a good one. But the answer is Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. That's the most famous shout in Skyrim, like Fusroda. Yeah, that's a level 1 question. And you know what, David? You have an honor that I will bestow on you right now. You are the first contestant to get a level 1 question incorrect. Congratulations.
Very nice.
Congratulations, my friend. Okay, level 2. The question was, what year was BioShock released? The answers you had to choose from were A, 2006, B, 2007, C, 2008, or D, 2009. You chose 2006. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
The answer is B, 2007. Ooh.
It's 2007.
Yeah. 0 for 2. So we already know you're not going to get a power up for the boss, but let's see how you finished up with the gauntlet and see how you did on the way to Psycho Mantis. Level 3. The question was, which of these does not belong? The answers you had to choose from were, the list was Wendy, Larry, Roy, Sherry, and Morton. Your answer was Larry. John, you kind of hunt at this. Do you have an idea of this at all? Or?
I don't. That's why I was kind of like, huh. Like, I couldn't pick up on the pattern.
Okay, well, I can tell you that David's answer of Larry is actually not correct. But the answer is Sherry. And the 4 names that were correct were Wendy, Larry, Roy, and Morton, and those are the Koopalings in the Mario series.
Okay.
In Super Mario World and Super Mario 3. Yeah. So Sherry is not one. 0 for 3. David, come on, man. We got to get one, right? We got to get one here. Level 4 question. It was, which was the best-selling Gran Turismo title? Used your power up here, which narrowed it down from the 6 titles to 3, 4, or 6. And you chose 4, is that correct, David?
Yes.
Okay. The best-selling Gran Turismo title is Gran Turismo 3. With 11.7 million. So you did 0 for a wash. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Ouch.
All right, I'm ready for that boss battle now.
Oh man, well dang. So you basically have 1 heart left. You have broken arms and legs. Your sword is cracked, and you're poisoned and everything. So this is going to be a very rough fight. But you're gonna lick your wounds a little bit. Do you think you have what it takes to beat the boss? You gonna try to get this one?
Oh yeah.
Okay. See, I like this. See, confidence.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, see, confidence, fake it till you make it, right? Okay, so without further ado, we're just going to get in it. Psycho Mantis is looking at you. He's laughing. He watched that whole debacle that just went down, but I think you still have a chance to win. So let's see if you can take him down. Your boss encounter starts when I finish reading the entire question. I'm going to give you some background info and then the question. Okay?
Sure.
Psycho Mantis is considered one of the most powerful practitioners of psychokinesis and telepathy in the world. He has the ability to move objects with the power of thought, and Mantis also can read people's minds, accessing their memories, and even dive deep enough to control their actions. In Metal Gear Solid, when the player fights Mantis, these abilities are extremely difficult to overcome, unless of course you plug your controller into port number 2. Your question. The mind and brain have been studied for centuries, and we are just now learning its deeper functions. Through electroencephalography, we have identified brain waves, or the oscillating electrical pulses created by neurons communicating with each other. What are 3 of the 6 classes of brainwaves, and which is the most associated with dreaming, memory, and fears, the type Psycho Mantis would manipulate? 30 seconds.
Oh my! Actually, I used to know this.
Take your time. Talk it out.
Yeah. Let's see. The one associated with dreams.
First, you name 3 of the 6 classes of brainwaves. 20 seconds first, and then get the one associated with dreams.
All right. How many do you have to name?
3 of 6. 15 seconds.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say alpha, beta, and delta.
Okay.
The one associated with dreams. Alpha.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
And time. Okay, here we go. Well, John, interesting question. I mean, does it make sense? How do you think he fared? Do you have any thoughts?
Far better than I did. I always laugh at these questions because I'm just like, if I was on the other end, I'd be like, I don't know, just stop dying from 16. Let's just quit now.
Right. Well, for a little background, David, as you know, I'm a science geek, so I always base these boss battle questions. I always write these and create them based on science and bridge the video game world with the real scientific world. So, let's go over your answer. So, which are the 6 classes of brainwaves? Your answer was alpha, beta, and what? Delta. Okay. One of them is correct so far, which is alpha. That is correct.
That's good. That was the one I was most confident about.
Okay, good. So alpha is correct. Another one is infralow.
You know, that was right on the tip of my tongue.
Right. I knew you want to say that one. Another one is gamma.
Okay, I said gamma.
Another one is delta, which you said, so congratulations. Yes. Good job. Nice job. That's 2. Another one is theta. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, so that's 5. And you said beta, correct?
Yes.
And beta is 1, so good. You got the first half of the question. Okay. Woo! You got 3 out of the 6 classes of brainwaves. Nice. Okay, so we're halfway there. Now, they're based on, in order, it's infralow, delta, theta, beta, alpha, and gamma, going from the wavelengths. So gamma are the highest wavelengths, the smallest wavelengths. And those are up from 38 to 42 hertz, and then the infralow are below 0.5 hertz. The type of brainwaves that are associated with memories, dreaming, and fears are theta. And you mentioned and you named alpha. Oh, so close. You know what? I have to give you props for coming back strong in the boss battle, right, John? He did very well after getting just pummeled in the gauntlet on the way up. But man, very, very close. So yes, just a quick overview of the brainwaves, infralow brainwaves. Very little is known about them. They're just basic cortical rhythms of your normal functions of this life. Delta brainwaves are the slowest and loudest, and they're in like dreamless sleep or meditation, so you're dead to the world. Theta are the ones, as we know, that's in when you're dreaming and stream of consciousness and nightmares, etc. Alpha is like the power of now. That's like calmness, alertness, and you're ready to do something and you're learning. Beta are like your normal state of consciousness directed at a task, and then gamma are processing information to different areas of the brain. So I'm sorry to say you did not defeat the boss this week. So you will be going home with absolutely nothing, but that's okay. You valiant effort. We're going to take a little break here, and we're going to come back with the topic of the week, some emails, and get on out of here. So we'll take a quick break. And we're back. David.
I'm sorry. I was in a theta state.
Yeah. in a nightmare that just occurred, or what? Really? Yeah. Ouch. But you know what? No harm, no foul. You did well. I'm going to tell you, John. Looking over the statistics, we are on a massive losing streak right now. We've had 7 losses in the boss battle in a row right now. Whew. So that was number 7. So we are hurting.
After 80, it was downhill from there.
It is. No one has won so far. I mean, this is our longest drought between boss battle victories. So David, don't feel bad. You're not alone in this feat. But actually, you are a little bit. You are the complete opposite of Hades, who went 5 for 5 and is our first champion. You are our first 0 for 0.
Well, he did.
All right.
He did go 5 for 5 in a sense.
Oh, you did. Yeah. Perfect. 5 for 5. That's a good way to look at it. Positivity. That's right. Positive is how I live. Nice.
Every time I hear Alpha Beta, all I can ever think of is this movie Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh yeah, of course. we got to keep it. We got to take it back to the 80s. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have every episode, our guests bring a topic of the week, and David, your topic was pretty awesome. I liked it a lot. It was broad, and we narrowed it down a little bit. So go ahead and flesh that out for us and kind of give us a little preface so we can kind of talk about it a little bit.
Oh, about game education, game schools and education was my topic. Now being an educator for it. And, it's amazing. Game programs are popping up. Not programs as in software, but programs as in study programs. All over. Just about every college is starting up a game program. Even high school levels. My wife is a high school teacher, and they're starting up a game design class. Even some of the biggest names in the game industry have been involved with it, like Brenda Romero and John Romero at UC Santa Cruz, and then Warren Spector starting up one at University of Texas. So games are getting to be serious study right now. So there are programs popping up all over, and I run into a lot of people asking about them. You got to be careful about what game programs you choose to enter in, because people ask me, "Is this school good? Is that school good?" A couple of things you got to ask yourself if you're thinking about going into at a game school or a game program at a school. And one is, do their instructors have experience working in the game industry? Are you actually going to be getting a bachelor's degree?
And not just a trade certificate or something.
Yeah, or associate's degree.
Right.
Because eventually, we're a meritocracy in the game industry, in that we really don't care how you learn stuff. We care more about what you can do, what your portfolio is. But still, a lot of the big game companies especially require you to have a bachelor's degree if you want to get any serious position there. So make sure you're going after a bachelor's degree. Make sure that as a result of your work, you're going to have a portfolio of stuff to show off. Because that's really, when you go on job interviews, that's what hiring managers want to see. They want to see examples of your work. So if you're pursuing a job as a programmer, do you have code samples, especially game-related code samples, to show off? If you're a game designer, do you have game design documents or game levels you can show off? If you're an artist, do you have artwork you can show off? So that's really important, and especially games that you put together. That's important. And does your school does the school network with the game industry itself?
Within the industry, yeah.
Because it's really tough to get jobs without those connections.
For sure.
80% of the jobs I've had through my entire career was either because somebody told me about the opening, or I knew somebody at the company, or they reached out to me.
Man, that's every industry. It's all about who you know, for sure.
Yeah, it is. It is so much about who you know and being, at the right place. Because the fact is, there are far more people want to get in the game industry than there are jobs available. So you got to be the person that the hiring manager or the recruiter recognizes and hears about first.
Right.
So
I have a question for you, David,
yeah.
and I'm sure John's got a bunch too. Because John, you can probably remember a lot of the emails we've had of people come in and say, "Hey, how do I break in the industry?" And it's kind of funny that I actually went back. It was on episode number 9. I just listened to this a little earlier, and you said it perfectly. I think I'll set you up for it. I'll throw you a lob. To get in the gaming industry, you need to make something, right? That after college, I think you said, hey, you need to make something and get it out there and make some get a portfolio. I think that's what you mentioned.
Yeah, you actually do have to make things. You have to have stuff you can show off.
Right.
Because people want to see your work.
For sure. I think isn't that what you said, John?
Yeah. I was like, just start cranking away on some stuff just to show people that, hey, this is what I'm capable of doing, or here's some rough thoughts or ideas that I have for, doing stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just start doing something. Don't wait, don't be like, oh, I'm going to develop games once I get hired by company X. Just start doing it on your own. And you
should.
Yeah.
And in fact, even though I'll say this, even though that I work, I teach game development. You don't have to get a degree in game development.
Mm.
You can go on the internet. You can download Unity. You can go through the tutorials and teach yourself.
Yep.
However, if you're the type of person that learns best in a classroom environment,
go ahead. Yeah.
Then go after a game degree.
And then it also helps with a good basis, right? Here, yeah. I have a question for you, David. This is what I was going to ask. So, how you work for the LA Film School? Yes, correct. For you do the teaching stuff. Yeah. So, what are your opinions on places that I've heard have good game design programs that aren't like the universities, like Art Institute, Full Sail, the LA Film School versus like a USC, UCLA, or a proper university program? What are your thoughts on the differences between those? Like,
well, with more of a trade school, like we're at, we have a more accelerated program, so we get you your degree sooner. You can get your degree in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We also cater to the student that maybe didn't do so well in school and maybe can't get into a USC either because they don't academically or they can't afford it. So we're for the people that maybe aren't academically inclined. And in fact, there are a lot of bright people, a lot of talented people that for whatever reason just didn't do well in high school. Maybe their family or the community, they really didn't support the idea of, education. So we're the approach to that. I mean, if you're a bright student, you did well, you can afford it, you can get in. Absolutely, USC, fantastic program.
Mm-hmm.
But trade schools are for those who are more interested in getting a job sooner and maybe aren't academically inclined.
Mm-hmm. So I would say if you're coming out of high school with no experience whatsoever in any form or fashion, like, you basically have your diploma. Does a trade school going that route, do they teach like GFGEs and et cetera, like, or are you strictly learning game design? Are you learning math and English and everything?
We do have a liberal arts program, so we teach professional writing, creative writing,
okay.
Some math, leadership skills.
Okay, so you do have GEs, etc. So you're going to get
not to the extent that a college would.
Okay.
Or university.
Right. Okay. So there's a good delineation there. I guess as far as connections go, I guess John will probably talk on this too. What kind of specialization do you want for like a game developer, like a programmer? Like, do you want them coding C++, et cetera, only, or do you have them in other languages? Can you specialize, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, you can. There are game developers that are hired to work in Objective-C, C Sharp, C++, HTML5, JavaScript,
Ruby, Python, everything.
Yeah. There are all sorts of things. I mean, most AAA game development, you're talking about
Unity or
C++,
Unreal or something. Yeah.
Right. If you're developing game on like iPhone, Objective-C, but there's browser-based games that are available. So HTML5, great thing to learn. But the thing is, if you're a programmer and you learn the basics of a language and all the principles behind it, it's pretty easy to pick up other languages.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
John's got skills because of that, right? Like your basics of other things when you're developing stuff.
I would say, like, if you're a student too and you're looking for a college, obviously call around, talk to if they have a gaming, development department, talk to them, talk to the computer science department, and like just ask them, like, oh, what languages do you teach? Or because when I went to school, it was I didn't code a day of my life before I went to school, but now knowing what I know now, if I would have known back then, I probably would have went to a different school or something. But like, oh yeah, we'll teach you Java, and we have we'll teach you C. It's like, yeah, okay, Java's, I don't want to say Java's not dead, but it's definitely not a heavily used language with what people think it's used for. And like C, yeah, that's great if you're good at program stuff for like bare metal. So it's like, ask around. Do they teach Python? Do they teach, C Sharp? Do they teach, Ruby on Rails or JavaScript or, HTML5, stuff like that, because that, do they have like even a mobile development class? Because even when I was going to school, they weren't even teaching any mobile development. I told one of my teachers about there's this thing called Android coming out soon. You should definitely check that out. And he was like, what? He had no idea what it was. And I told him all about it. And thankfully, the next year, semester, he was teaching like an Android development class, but that was the only mobile class that was taught the 4 years I was at school. There's no other mobile development, no Python classes. It was just Java and C, and that was it. So ask around, learn what languages they're teaching. It'll give you an idea of at least where that school is at as far as being up to speed with kind of where the industry is at.
And there's so many other aspects of being in the gaming industry as well. If you're an artist, you want to be a tech artist. A recent post, I guess it wasn't recent, I think you put it on your LinkedIn blog, David, was I liked your post about there's no room for there's no
idea. There's no idea guy position.
Right.
That is, there's no position for just dreaming up ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
For games.
You need to be because again, me personally, I've positioned myself in game design because I can create concepts for games, but it's more about the gamification, the UX, the UI, the experience, and the game mechanics. You have to be able to implement that and flesh out a game idea, and not just say, "Oh, it'd be cool if you could have this cool guy and shoot stuff." And you got to be able either you're a writer, you can write the story, the lore behind a game, or you focus on the game mechanics. And in any industry, like I used to, when I'm managing a team, in my career, I have a staff. I hate idea fairies. Don't come in and just wave your magic wand and make an idea happen. No. Give me a solution to a problem. Show me what you can do. Don't just come in and drop ideas. Everybody's got ideas. I think there's a quote that says, anyone who's had a shower has had a good idea, right?
Exactly.
So get out of there with that. So if you go to a school and you want to flesh it out, figure out what you want to do, and don't just say, oh, I make video games. I come up with ideas for games. Okay, everyone does that. No. You need to be able to do something in the industry and figure out what you want to do with it. Like if you are like you, David, you like stories and the writing and production side of it. There's so many different aspects of a game company, of the team that you can go into that I'm sure if you like games and you want to work in them, figure out what's best for you, I would say. Definitely. And you can overlap as well. Like tech artists, right? They're the best of both worlds. They know a little bit of coding and they know a little bit of art, so they can bridge the gap between the techie people who are just ones and zeros and the artistic people looking at butterflies in the sky, right? So they can communicate between the two. So there's tons of jobs like that if you're kind of a jack of all trades. So just
but the
figure it
most
out.
Misunderstood job is that of a game designer.
Yes.
It's not a game programmer,
Nope.
and it's not a game artist, and it's not just coming up with the idea for games.
No.
It's actually working on all the mechanics, all the content, all the rules, and then balancing it.
Yes.
Actually overseeing playtest sessions with other players, figuring out, is the game, do they have an experience I wanted? Is it fun? Is it understandable? Is it engaging? And if not, why not? And then making the appropriate adjustments.
Right. Is what we've gone with, does this combat system work with our storytelling mechanic? Oh, if not, no, we have to reevaluate. There's every aspect that goes into that. And like I said, when people think, game designers, oh, I just want to, just make up ideas and just make games happen and just kind of oversee the project. Well, if you want to do that, be a producer, okay? Just look at timelines and look at the money flows and make sure deadlines are hit. And that's a great job too. I mean, being a producer is cool. I've helped with production on games and stuff before, and that is also a good niche. But just know what you're going to do, know what you're going to specialize in, and really just kind of go for it. It's just like any other education. If you want to be a doctor and you go to school to be a doctor, just lean into it and go be a doctor. And like I said, go to a program like yours, David, and learn from great people like you who've had a staff who've actually been in the industry. I love how you said that, because you wouldn't want to go to a school as just someone who, it's like if you take a language class and you have a professor or a teacher who just kind of learned the language out of a book. You're like, okay, have you ever been to France or Italy? Have you ever been there? Well, I'm sure they know the syntax, right? That's great. That's cool, but I want someone who's actually knows colloquial speech or who's a native speaker, right? Or someone who, do your research for sure.
Absolutely. And it really helps to go to a school that's in a city where game development is done.
Oh yeah, L.A. Bam, you can't go wrong with
San Francisco,
for sure.
Austin,
All the tech hubs. Yeah.
All the tech hubs.
Chicago.
Otherwise, you go out in the middle of I don't know, Podunk, Ohio.
Topeka, Kansas.
Yeah. And
Sorry,
there's
Kansas.
no game development there. So how? You got your degree. Well, then, what are your contacts in the game industry? You really don't have any.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I would ask one more thing is, as far as contacts in the gaming industry, what kind of contacts do you think, if you're looking for, are you looking for a placement program, or just that the professors have worked in the industry and they can point you in the direction, or both?
Yeah, it should be both. We have somebody who's responsible for working with the companies in the area, working with their recruiters and their hiring managers, and finding either internships or entry-level jobs for our students. So that's it. Although people come to me, say, I'm looking for a programmer, I'm looking for a designer. Can you recommend any of your students? And so I will do that as an instructor. But mostly it comes through our career advisors.
Sweet. Well, right on. Well, you guys heard it here. Great topic, David. I really like that. It's really relevant, and we get a lot of email questions, and people are wondering like that. And like I say, you're teaching the youth kind of what to go on the next step, because now it's weird. Before, 70s, obviously 80s, even 90s, game development was just go code games, make some, and see what sticks. Right now, we're in the new age in this young industry. It's like, okay, now we're creating programs for it and stuff. So it's still a wild west of learning how to have an actual program for it. So it's really good that you brought that topic up. So thanks, I appreciate it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So let's we got time for a couple emails and get on out of here. What do you guys say?
Sounds good. All right.
Sweet. So, if you're listening to the show, like you should be, always, every week, please, yeah, you can write into us at jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. That's the email address. I repeat, jtexgamecast@raptorcow.com. So, let's start off. Let's see. These I have two here from like 2 weeks ago, John, because, again, they're the ones directed to basically us. But you weren't here, so I had to hold them. But yeah, so sorry, Jesse. This is sent in by Jesse K. from Michigan. It says, John and Ted, what are your favorite Olympic sports? The Olympics are coming up soon, and I was just wondering, since football is done and is not in the Olympics, what would you be watching? Jesse K. Well, let's start with you, David. What are your favorite sports?
For Summer Olympics?
Summer, yeah, we're in summer this year, so we won't go to winter because I know you're going into skiing and stuff.
Yeah, I would have said skiing, number one.
No.
Okay.
Summer Olympics.
Fencing.
Okay.
Fencing. I took fencing in college.
Okay, right on.
Fencing, yeah. Fencing
is cool. Touche, nice. John, what Olympic sports do you like to partake in?
That's tough. I'm actually really impressed with like gymnastic type events.
Ah, yes.
Like the rings, or like
totally.
the I can't remember, I don't know the technical name, like the double bar one.
Like the men's gymnastic bar thing where they sit there like with two hands. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they have, like, there's the higher bar and the lower bar, and
the women's, like the uneven bars. Yeah.
Yes, or even like the
pommel horse and all that stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. Or even like when the women do the yes, or on the mat, when they just use strictly the mat and they do like all the flips and turns and stuff.
Routine. I know my gymnastics, man.
Yeah, that stuff is like really, really impressive. Like my cousin was actually in the '84 Olympics.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Sweet.
But all of that stuff is crazy upper body stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes. And a lot of power too when it comes to the vault. Like you see those female gymnasts, their legs are just freaking. Their backs are crazy from holding themselves up, and their legs are just they can squat a car.
Yeah. But they make it look so you're watching
graceful,
it's just like, and you're like, oh, there's nothing to that. But there's some crazy just chemistry going on with all that stuff. So that it's really impressive. I don't know if I could have ever done any of that at the height of my athleticism, but it's impressive to see that type of athleticism.
Oh, totally. Even as in shape as I am, there's no way that I'm going to run around, flip around on a bar. No thanks. But no, it's pretty, I think gymnastics is pretty cool to watch. For me, I like track and field a lot. I really enjoy it. I did track. Yeah, I did track, in high school, and had the opportunities to go on to college. I played football instead, but I was a thrower, so all the throwing events I really loved. Did
you do the hammer throw?
Yes, I practiced the hammer. We didn't have it in in high school because it wasn't allowed because it was dangerous. But we did have javelin, which is just
that wasn't dangerous.
Right, exactly. No, a lot of like seriously, like there's only like 8 states that have javelin, and Washington, where I went to high school, is one of them. And there's only, I think there's 12 states that have hammer, and Washington wasn't one. But no, I was a junior Olympian in javelin. I had really good throws in javelin, and I threw discus really well. And so. And went to state every year, and so like I like to watch the throwing events; they're really cool. But also, obviously, watching Usain Bolt run, it's cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
He is crazy fat.
It's stupid, dude.
He's insane.
It's stupid when you're 6'5" sprinter and like lean as heck, does not look like a sprinter like 5'10", 5'9", just like stocky as all hell. Like 200 pounds, just like solid muscle, like thoroughbreds. No, this dude, he's lean, lanky, 6'5", just strides like a gazelle to the end.
Was it the last Olympics? I think it was 4 years ago when he just
back,
broke out of the pack and like lifted his arms like halfway through the race, was just like, I'm winning.
Yeah, that's Beijing. Yeah, he just went like, I'm good. Yeah, and like broke the world record while looking backwards and being like, oh yeah, wait, what? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess I'll look forward. But yeah, the Olympics are just they're cool. I mean, they've been around for so long too, and
they are amazing. I really enjoy them. What I actually, I'm going to talk smack about the Olympics. What I don't like about the Olympics is stupid NBC's coverage of them. It's like it's the most schizophrenic freaking attention span of a gnat thing ever. It's every 4 seconds they jump around to a different thing, and they show the stupidest things. You're like, wait, why do we care about? It's just terrible coverage. It's gotten worse and worse every year, and Bob Costas and all them. It's just not good. Like I want to watch a full event or something, and they play it on random times. It's just not good. So, but it'll be a little easier to watch it this year because they're in Brazil, so it's on closer to our time zone. So that's
exactly.
So we can watch some events live.
Hopefully they don't. I think they might have put the kibosh on it, but rumor was I think either the next Summer Olympics or the one after that, they were looking at Boston. Wow. Which is totally insane if they even try doing that.
Wow. Well, they did Atlanta, which is insane, but Atlanta's a lot more space and a lot nicer. Wow, that would be.
It'll be a complete nightmare if they do it here.
I think the next ones are actually Tokyo, I want to say.
Okay.
The next summer, and then the ones after that would be Boston.
I mean, they were considering. I don't know. The committee might have kicked it out already.
It goes 8 years out normally. So, yeah.
But yeah, that'll be just totally wrong if they have it here, though. I'll have to move for it.
Wow.
I live an hour away from it, and I'd imagine we would even be affected, by that. Like, it'll just be wrong if they have it here. So
maybe in a good way, though. It might be kind of cool. Go check some events out.
With the hammer throw, do you only get 3 rotations with it, with the hammer throw? What?
You can rotate as many as you want, but there's a way to do it. Yeah, like 1, 2, 3.
Technique behind it.
Yeah, just like the spin and a discus. It's actually 1.5 full spins to be exact.
Okay.
Yeah, the shot put it's 1.
Do you fault on the discus if you go more than 1.5?
No,
you have to stay in that. Oh yeah, you have to stay in that little ring.
Yeah,
discus
and a hammer throw is an 8-foot ring. A shot put is 7-foot ring.
How far back would you go with the javelin? How much of a running start would you get?
I usually did about 20 yards.
Whew, no kidding.
From start to finish, like with your full approach. So maybe 15 yards. Actually about 17 yards if I think about it now. Not quite 15. Not quite. It's like you start with a trot back a little bit, and then you speed up, and then it ends up being about 15 to 20 yards for your approach, and then you just launch it.
After you let it go, you still have a couple more steps in you.
One step.
That's follow through.
Yeah, 1 or 2 steps you have space. So it's called your block, where you put, because you have, it's weird, javelin, because I had, 2 pairs or 3 pairs of shoes. I had my shot put shoes, my discus shoes, and then my javelin shoes. And so my javelin shoes, they're like almost like sneakers with spikes in them, like typical running spikes, little 1/8-inch running spikes in the toes. And then the heels, though, they have 1/4-inch spikes, huge in your heels. So like when you stand on the track, you're not moving, like 1/4-inch spikes. But that's because when you throw the javelin, you kick your leg through, and your left foot, if you're right-handed, your left foot your heel hits the ground, and it digs in, and that hit
that helps it.
Exactly. That gives you an elastic whap. So it's called your block. So your left heel hits in those 1/4-inch spikes, kind of absorb it and stick in the ground, and it zips your arm around, and you flip it over the top. And that's how it gets. Yeah, and then like you take one step over with your right foot, like over your knee, like a high knee, and you stop with that right foot. So that's how you're supposed to do it. And then if you're going fast enough, you take like another little stutter step. But I used to do my block about 1.5 yards for the fault line, so I had a little bit of space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was what I did. And then discus was like I used to jump over the front of the ring and just pull my foot back to the last second and like turn around. Yeah. You'd be in the air. Yeah.
How heavy is the javelin?
Javelin is, I want to say
1.8
kilograms, so like 3 pounds, 3.1 pounds.
Oh wow, that's a big than that. They're pretty big.
Yeah, they're not that. I can't remember. I know a discus is 2 kilograms, and a shot put obviously is a big boy. So
yeah.
That's how they go. Actually, let's consult the Oracle. I think it's 3.2 pounds. It's like 1.8.
Is there any technique in the shot put? I mean, that really
totally.
Just looks like you have
100%. Oh my gosh! Like the throwing events are so technical. That's why I like them so much. Yeah. Like there's a couple techniques. There's a thing called a glide where you face the opposite way. So if I'm throwing directly behind me, I face like 180 degrees, and I take my foot and I just kick back and I just shoot. I throw it like that, or you can do the spin. I did both. The spin is actually better, more obviously momentum and more generation of power.
Right.
The glide is easier, but there's a lot of people who do the glide throw in the Olympics and still does just as well. It all depends on your.
Is there such thing as like an out of bounds with the shot put?
Oh yeah, totally. You can scratch if you touch the top of the board. So there's a little, for the shot put, there's like a 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch like kind of half circle in front of the thing. It's called the board. It's like a metal kind of stopper. You can touch the inside of it, but if you touch the top, it's a scratch. And then and there's also a vector, like a 40 degree, 37 degree vector.
Yeah.
If you throw outside of that, which happens all the time, especially if you're spinning, you don't get all the way around.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a scratch. So all the throwing events have a vector. You have to stay inside of it. It's only, let's see. The Oracle says a javelin weighs 1.8.
Okay.
Yes.
Another event that's crazy too is the pole vault.
Oh, that's nuts.
That seems insanely hard.
I think David would be really good at doing the pole vault. He seems like someone who he likes, doing interesting things like that. Skiing is crazy like that. Like you use poles and skis. Like I'm not.
Dave would probably do the what's the winter event where it's like cross country skiing with like shooting.
Oh yeah. The Norwegians always win it every year. Yeah.
Is it like a triathlon?
Yeah, they do the skiing and then they shoot, and the skiing and the shoot is like the Foley or Ferry or something like that. Yeah.
It's called.
Yeah, the Norwegians, because again, my ex was from Norway, and I was actually watching the 2006 Olympics there in Norway, and the Norwegians won, of course, because that's their biggest event. Like every year, Norway just cleans up in the medal race because it's.
They should make that event a little more interesting, where they should leave like little coolers of beer.
Alcohol and guns, perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, good job, John. John for president, 2016. Fail. Yeah, so now we know what sports we want to watch for the Olympics. So there you go, Jesse. That's what we're going to watch. Okay. Alrighty. Here we go. You can chime in on this one, Dave. This is a good one. Dear John and Ted, and you too, David. As an indie studio, we have listened to a lot of your guests who are developers talk about their games, experiences, and processes. We've learned a great deal. You both have great backgrounds that help devs and studios in the business space. What are some considerations we should make on moving to the next level from small indie studio to medium-sized studio? And that's Michael P. in Redmond, Washington. Interesting.
Sales.
Yeah, David, what are you thinking?
I mean, that's basically it. You have the money to increase your scope and the resources to support that scope. You just got keep doing what you're doing successfully, and then
maybe it sounds like they might be ready to scale.
So manage your growth. Manage it conservatively. Don't grow too much.
Yeah.
Beyond your ability to manage.
Right. It makes sure you can pay your employees and everyone's happy and you have at least something going on, right? So if you do take a hit 1 year, you're not going to go under right away. You can maybe survive and try to reevaluate over a little more time.
Here's another tip. Make sure you have a business development guy.
That's me. That's why I have a job.
Business development guy to help you get that new business.
Thanks for the plug, David.
Anytime. Yeah, biz dev. You need a biz dev guy.
Totally.
Don't pull the Kickstarter, stories that we've been talking about.
Gosh.
David,
real quick, give me your thoughts on, just real quick before we get into the next email, on these Kickstarters just kind of being crap heads and just, taking the money and not giving on their promises and not doing it. There's been about a bunch of them in the last 6 months.
Yeah, there have. I mean, it's a risk when you go and you're as a quick starter contributor to give your money to someone. You don't know for sure whether or not they're going to be able to pull it off.
Right.
And I'm sure there are some people that make their best efforts and they fail. And I'm sure there are a couple of scam artists as well. Failure is part of, innovation. So I don't blame people that try and fail. But yeah, if somebody's really getting in over their head.
Yeah, it just seems like it's just getting rampant now. And, like I said, Kickstarter, I don't want to talk too much about it. We talk about it next episode. I'm sure someone will write in about it, or there'll be another story. But it just seems like it's in the twilight years anyway, so people are almost taking advantage of it. And, yeah, like Harmonix running, Kickstarters for their games, a big studio. It's just really dumb. But yeah. So I don't want to talk about it. Moving on. It just makes me mad. Here, I like this one a lot. Here we go. It says, hey guys, this is from Neil from Washington, D.C. It says, I wanted to chime in on your recent episodes where you talked about steroids. That was John's favorite episode. Do you think it's time for us as a society to finally just accept steroid use in sports and move pro sports into the realm of the old Mutant League football or Mutant League baseball for the Sega Genesis days? If they want to do it, I think they should be allowed. Neil,
would like to subscribe to your magazine.
Yeah. What do you think? David, did you ever play Mutant League football or Mutant League baseball on Sega?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, I love those games.
I think there should be a separate. This might be a business idea. There should be a separate league that gets designed where it's just like, hey, you want to blow your bodies out and brains out, whatever else. You want to get all jacked up? Let's do it. Let's see what kind of monsters you can become and entertain us with your ridiculous football hits and baseball home runs where a guy can hit 150 home runs in a year. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be rated M though. People's heads are gonna be blowing off and stuff like that. And then they said it's gonna. You remember Mutant League football, right, John?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that game. Seriously, there's going to be regular players, robots, freaking aliens, people. It's just going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, again, David, if you're not familiar, as you know, my background is in sports, as you know, and the training side of it. So steroid use I'm very versed in, not from a personal standpoint, but from a telling athletes how to do it safely if they need to, because they do it. And so rather them use it correctly than not, than kill themselves and do something stupid. So yeah, it's very rampant in professional sports. As you know, Maria Sharapova just got busted. She's done, because she was using a performance enhancing drug, and so it's all over the place. So there's that argument that people are like, hey, just use them. Who cares? I don't care. I just want to see some great football and everything. Blah blah blah. But then, like I said, you're gonna have to start censoring the TV, because people are gonna just get blasted in half. It's just gonna be just insanity.
Yeah. I mean, you would probably actually literally see someone die, possibly.
Oh, there would be so many people. People would be dropping dead on the field. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
From usage, something their hearts explode, and then from the hits would be so impactful.
Is there a safe way to use them, or are they inherently dangerous?
Inherently, they are dangerous. Long-term usage. I mean, the studies have yet to be for hardcore data. There's definitely correlated data that says that this is bad. They're cortical based hormones, so they're based on cholesterol, so they have cholesterol effects that clog your arteries. They have damaging effects in the brain. They have carcinogens mixed in them. Long-term use. There's all these different things that mess up your hormonal balance, which has trickle effects down and cascading pathways and for biochemistry. So there's a lot of negative things to do, and the human body wasn't meant to be as big and strong in some ways, right? So just joints cannot handle it, and muscle fibers cannot handle it, so you'll get a lot of soft tissue injuries. And then also you think about these football players. I mean, they're freaks, like I said, like my teammates, my buddies are freaks of nature, and seeing them, if they were on steroids too on top of it, just the size and scope, if you getting hit by that, it's just the body's not meant to take that much impact. So the brain damage, we already have the concussion issue, right? And I'm going to donate my brain to science when I'm done, because I've had 6 diagnosed concussions, and I can't even count how many undiagnosed. So it's like, I was a linebacker. Yeah, I know that's what makes sense. So if I'm in the middle of a podcast and I just like randomly talk about something else, it's because I had a short circuit. Don't worry about it. It's not funny to joke about, but it is, because it's like, because I was playing football in the olden days before it was like a thing, like where you get knocked out in practice and like you'd wake up and like, oh, we're walking into the locker room.
Give me the smelling salts or whatever. Like, wake up, Teddy.
Yeah, not even that. Like, no, it happened in games where like you like early in like the first quarter, you'd like hit somebody and you'd wake up and look at the scoreboard and it's the end of the second and we're going into halftime and you just you're like, oh, what? And like that's the next time you wake up and then like you were acting weird. Like did I mess up? And no, you were fine. You were just calling the plays a little weird. And like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're out of it. Yeah, and that happens all the time. Like, so like I can't even tell you like how many times I've been knocked out in a practice, like even for like not like out cold for like 5 minutes, but like a good 10 to 15 seconds where you just
a good bell ring, Good.
Oh yeah. A good buddy of mine is a fullback, and about 240-pound fullback, strong as all hell. Benches 500 pounds, squats 600, just freak, right? He's a Spanish Basque guy, but just like thick. 6 foot, 240. Well, we used to have to hit each other all the time, and he could hit, and he had a hard head, and he just one time in practice wasn't looking, hit me on the side of the head, out, gone, dunzo, like don't even remember the next like 5 minutes, like gone.
Man,
it just happened. So I mean, I can only imagine what it would be like with steroids, like just the guys, it'd be just freakish. It'd be interesting to watch, though. I mean,
it'd certainly be entertaining.
Right. Well, we might as well go to the point of just putting robots out there and watching robots play football.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have those like robot wars or whatever.
Yeah, robot
guys
wars.
Built those robots with like circular saw hands and like
that's actually pretty cool.
Cut each other apart and stuff. So
you might as well. I mean, yeah, I'd be down. So, okay, let's get time for one more. Okay, I like this one. Hello, Ted, John, and David. I like the idea of the prediction segment for the show. I think you guys should make it an official part. Well, now that you've taken my advice, when and at what price will Sony announce the PlayStation VR? You guys have to keep score. Closest man wins. Alfredo in Houston. Ooh, David, I'll let you chime in on this one too. What are you thinking? I'll let you start. PlayStation VR, when is it going to come out, and how much do you think it's going to be?
Oh, let me consult my crystal ball.
Right.
Okay.
$1.
When is it going to come out? I haven't been following closely yet, so I'm just going to say it's going to come out 1 year from now. And VR. Well, let's see. I'm going to say VR initially expensive. I'm going to say $600.
That's a good price. That's the Oculus. That's how much the Oculus is.
Yeah.
$600.
Yeah.
John, tell me what you think of this one. So again, we're going to compete on this. So I guess if I lose, I'll buy you a sandwich.
Nice.
And if you lose, you buy me a sandwich. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to say PlayStation VR will get announced at E3. It will be available. So at their press conference at E3, they're going to be like, and you can now have PlayStation VR with this new with No Man's Sky, with the new game coming out, and then it's going to be $400, $399.
I say Christmas time, this Christmas.
Ooh, okay, touche. Like, wait, the holiday season, or Christmas?
Well, yeah, it'll be available
like Black Friday.
Yeah, holiday-ish, November-ish, kind of time period. And I say it's going to be $300.
Ooh, wait, $299 or $300?
Yep, Sony's going to eat the cost on this thing,
really?
just like they did with the PS2s. They're going to eat the cost on it, and they're going to make the money hopefully in the long run on the back end.
Okay, well, I'm gonna, for the sake of that, I'm gonna have you narrow it down to a 1 week period, so you don't get the holiday-ish, November, December.
Okay, yeah.
Like the week Black Friday to December in that range.
I'm trying to think. I would say, because I feel like it'll be available before Black Friday, but it's going to be the main thing Sony's pushing for Christmas.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say
second half of November. I'll give it to you.
Maybe the last week of October into the first week of November-ish.
Okay, you heard it here, everybody. Those are the predictions. We'll see what's up 1 year from now. And $600. I say end of E3 with No Man's Sky right there. Hey, you can buy it now with and $400, $399. And John says end of October, beginning of November for $300.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, hey, I think that's gonna do it for the show today. David, thank you so much for being on. You were great. Fantastic addition.
Yes, thank you for coming on.
Your story was fantastic. And before we get out of here, again, plug yourself again. Why are you so cool? Why are you here? What do you got going on? And how can people reach you? Because you have a lot of knowledge. And, I think it's good to show. Your blog is great, too, by the way, I must say.
So. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you can follow my blog on WordPress, davidmullich.wordpress.com. Follow me on Twitter, David_Mullich. And I do consulting on game design and production.
Sweet. And then how do people get a hold of you? That just is Twitter the best way? Do you have email, or how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, go to my website.
Solid.
My WordPress site.
Fantastic. So if you want to get a hold of us, you know how to do it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You can get a hold of us on Twitter at JTEX Gamecast. My personal Twitter is at Tedwards44. John's is JNado7, spelled the French way. Instagram is the same, JTEX Gamecast. My personal Instagram is Tedwards44 as well. Hey, join our Facebook group, John and Ted's Excellent Gamecast group. Post in there. We talk fun stuff, post boss battle questions, discuss the show, interact with us. It's fun. You can find us on iTunes, subscribe, share it with your friends. Write us a review. We're starting to collect some good reviews, and hey, if you write us a good one or a fun one, we'll read it on the show maybe. Or even if you write a bad one, hey, we'll try to change and try to fix it for you. And visit the website, www.raptorcow.com/JTEXGamecast. It has boss battle statistics, our Hall of Champion, a lot of different things on there so you can interact with the show. And yeah, make sure you send us an email. Send those questions in at JTEXGamecast@RaptorCow.com. Well, that's great. Well, hey, thank you again. And I think that's going to do it. Nothing else to talk about. Talked about a lot. Old school stuff. Till next week. I think we're good. I'm going to get out of here. I'm hungry. I got to eat. All right, guys. Until next week, we'll see you later.
Game over.